Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 139. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, and joining me here as always, except when he's not, BT Calloway.
No, hi.
And brand new guest, Craig Walker.
Hello, nice to see you.
And thank you for joining us for the Simpsons Index. This is a podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there's a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Now, Craig, we like to ask our first-time guest, what is your Simpsons history? Where did the show begin with you?
Oh, gosh. The first time that I ever saw it, I was living in Canberra, of all places, so, of course, it was the most exciting thing that was around at the time.
I know, Canberra used to have fireworks.
Well, they did. They used to have fireworks, but, I mean, there was the most exciting thing that you could get apart from fireworks, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was working in Canberra at the time, as most people try to pretend that they do. And it was the days of fast forward. It was the days where television was exciting and these new things came in, newfangled cartoons came in. The Simpsons was there, and it made fun of everything that was a holy cow, which was a sacred cow. It was absolutely wonderful. And I just kept watching it afterwards. One of the things that really annoyed me about my experience with The Simpsons was that the first few seasons were then repeated ad nauseum in Australia, but we didn't get anything new for, I think it felt like about 25 years, but it was probably only about 3 or 4.
Yeah, because it didn't air the same year that it aired in the States. And so, like, when it finally came over to Australia, they had already had 3 or 4 seasons in the bank, so it just hit the ground running in syndication in Australia. And I sort of remember season 5 being the first one where I was, like, watching new episodes week to week. Yeah,
and suddenly everything was all kind of new. But this is why Bart the General is one of my favourite episodes, because I saw it 93 times.
That's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that was the thing. It was always the repeats and so on. But I mean, there's some sterling bits of gold out there now.
Yeah. And so on the other side of that, where did you sort of drop off with the show, assuming you have?
Well, to be honest, I think I dropped off around about a season or 2 before they started these wonderful pre-show couch gags that were wonderfully artistic. I think that was about 4 seasons ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think that they should probably explore a bit more, because it was actually really a nice way for different artists to have a take on what The Simpsons were doing and maybe give their own view on it, or their own take on couch gags, which I think became more of a staple for the series.
They're a bit hit and miss, the guest ones, but they're always interesting, no matter what.
There are some frightening surrealist ones, some real nightmare-inducing
Banksy
ones.
one jumps to mind. But
Oh, yeah, where they do the horrible Korean animation studio.
Yes.
But hey, it's always interesting, if nothing else.
That's true.
Yeah. I sort of get the impression that they're more doing those extended couch gags for the YouTube clicks.
Yes.
And especially, like, we feel like that we've noticed that, some of these couch gags can often take away from the episode, where it's like, well, that was like 5 minutes, and now they're rushing through the stories.
And now there's a story that, well, I see, this is a B-roll story.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
B-roll if we're generous.
Yeah. B-roll Callaway? I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. Sometimes you got to swing for them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, every now and again, the tapes have to miss.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You got to miss to know it hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, starting out today, we're doing things a little bit differently. Normally, we start out with the HD era episode, but for a reason that'll become apparent later, we started out with the Teens era episode. This was Season 13, Episode 18, I Am Furious, (Yellow), close brackets. First released in April of 2002. This was directed by Chuck Sheets.
He sure does.
Several times.
And it was written by John Swartzwelder.
What, really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
This is a Swartzy.
That's stunning.
Yeah. In this episode, this is the one where Bart comes up with the popular internet cartoon Angry Dad. Hey, guys, what do we think?
It gave what it promised.
Yeah.
It really did.
Did exactly that. What year did this come out?
2002.
Okay, interesting. Sorry, just because it is very indicative of what I think is Generation 2 internet. I'm not an internet historian, but this was, the area of those very much flash animation cartoon strips and stuff like that, and Newgrounds and things like that.
Yeah.
And it hits that nail exactly on the head, which feels very 2002. So they're actually like behind the ball for once. They're not, 6 years later finally getting to a reference. So I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, like Newgrounds especially. Like I remember all those there was that little hamster that you'd torture in various ways.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this one they've got Bin Laden in a blender, and there was definitely a few of those floating around, and as well as on like stickdeath.com. And...
Oh yeah.
They reference the blender thing later on as well, because you've got Skinner. I don't want people to look at SkinnerInABlender.com or anything like that. So they do come up with referencing those later on.
The later on, they feel like old references. This is very timely for them,
very
which
much
is,
so.
I'm very impressed with. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, starting out with the questionnaire, Craig, for better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
Look, the Rube Goldberg device is one of my favorites. I was saying while I was watching it that every episode needs a Rube Goldberg device. You need to have a trap that sets off another thing, sets off another thing, another thing, and then you get the final end bit where the basket descends on the mouse and everything's happy and fine, or Homer descends into the green paint-filled pool. Yeah. So that's my gem of the episode, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was such a Bart-designed device as well. Knew what Homer wanted, the free donuts.
Yep.
And then just the creative dragging him through, what was it, the cactus?
The cactus, the dirty diapers. Here, cut the string and you can be released, and there you go into the green paint, and then Homer smash!
And yeah, what a great organic, I guess, way to get him to Hulk out. Especially in an episode starring Stan Lee. And I'm going to say that's what stands out to me. It stands out to me. Haha. And this is interesting because, again, 2002, this is only a couple of years after the first X-Men movie comes out, and Marvel films are just not a thing yet. And I don't think Stan Lee was quite the cultural phenomenon that he certainly is now.
He wasn't all of our, kindly uncle yet.
Yeah, no, he hadn't hit his second renaissance. But the really nice thing about Stan Lee is that he's actually purposefully making fun of himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's gold in itself.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love all the scenes with Stan Lee and especially, him trying to Hulk out at the end. I did it once before.
You only wish you had power to believe my story.
Yep.
And, of course, when he's trying to crush the thing into the Batman.
That bit's amazing.
Or did I make it better?
And just rearranging comic books, seemingly putting like Marvel ones on top of other companies. That's a great moment.
Yeah, and up until this point, the only time I knew Stan Lee doing a cameo in something was in Mallrats.
He's in Spider-Man as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I think he just looks up though.
Yeah.
He's a very tiny part. His cameo's got more skin.
Well, he's also in Ang Lee's Hulk as well.
Yeah, that's right. He does like a walk by with Lou Ferrigno.
That's right. Yes, that's the thing.
Yeah, interesting. How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
When Stan Lee insults comic book guy and goes, Stan Lee insulted me, but in Bizarro World, he likes me. I just like that as just a thing you get to say anytime something goes wrong. But in Bizarro World,
yeah.
I like the fact that he's referencing a Marvel person or the creator of Marvel with a DC reference.
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah.
Well, with the Batmobile as well, worth pointing out that, he's destroying a DC toy there as well.
For sure. But only Batman fits my Batmobile.
Oh, poor Data as well. He's crying. Oh, you broke my toy.
Made it better.
So, there is even that whole comic book guy in Stan Lee is its own little 3-part story arc buried within this episode. Play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Oh, man. 6, I don't know.
Oh, geez. Look, it's a double digits. It's probably about 12, 15.
Yeah, I've easily seen this in excess of 20 times. I generally like season 13, and this is, one of the highlights for me. So, wackiness. Was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
Well, you can talk about the meta of it. Of course, it was a very cartoony episode, but also was it cartoony within the cartooniness because of the Angry Dad cartoon?
Yeah.
The cartoon layers go deep, man.
Absolutely. And the prediction layer goes deep because they were rehearsing for the motion picture, which comes up later.
Leading to why I've decided to do the teens episode first.
Yeah.
But I like that they're referencing that as well because, if you saw Matt Groening's...
That's the plumber.
Only when he takes the bar plug out.
If you saw Matt Groening's original drawings of The Simpsons and what they based the Ullman shorts on, they look shitty. Yeah. And I like that they're kind of referencing that maybe indirectly with Bart's drawings of Homer.
Didn't he quite famously make it up pretty much in the waiting room?
Yeah. All the Simpsons family are just Matt's family names. Yep. He pinched their names and everything.
Way to be creative, dork.
Absolutely. I mean, who can have a hairline with M and G on the side of his head?
But I really like Bart's line of, I'm an internet sensation. My week-long dream has come true. So, I mean, we kind of get a repeat of that later on where Homer's like, because that's the kind of guy I am this week.
Yeah.
But, it's a great little, it's humorous wacky. It's self-aware wacky.
Yeah, tying into the meta-ness of the episode, certainly.
Yeah. Also, the guy who shows up in the studio to hire Bart, he says, "Hi, I'm from the internet."
Oh, I love him dealing out the stock as well.
Yeah,
Just,
that was
we
amazing.
can't pay you a salary. And to pass the time, help yourself to more stock.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, but now the question is, who's actually been to betterthantv.com?
Ooh, I wonder if it still exists.
Go to Better Than TV. Well, I'm sure archive.org have got
I
that.
really
They've
hope
got
it's
that
still
sitting
like
there,
got
but
like 1998 internet graphics. I'll
I
be
hope
very
so.
happy.
That would be
Oh,
lovely.
yeah, with like...
It's like how SpaceJam.com
if the
is still
whole
up.
thing's a Flash animation website,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
Nope, no one's got it.
No one's got it. Go to archive.org and see whether or not betterthantv.com is there. Because if it actually has something that was there that was episode specific, that would be
amazing.
excellent. Yeah.
Even if it's just, error 404 and there's Angry Dad there. That would be enough.
That would be enough. That would be great. Yes. Or maybe it's betterthantv.com in a blender.
Yeah. I'd take that. Or it's that animation of the two dogs puking into each other's mouths.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. So
Talk about
danger might.
Yeah, talk about cartoon wackiness.
But again, this is cartoon within cartoon, but the whack.
Yeah, it felt like they were really going for a sort of a parody on the whole Nickelodeon sort of shows.
Of the time, yeah, absolutely. And also there was a thing around about the early 2000s where educational establishments were going very much after places like Nickelodeon for pushing fantastic cartoons onto kids and then kids not wanting to study and so on. And so they were trying to push the education thing above that. So I think they're being a bit meta with that as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So there's nothing on the Internet Archive.
That's so
Better Than TV.
disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
The domain was held for a few years, but there was nothing on it. But this was sort of back in the day where there was a weird brief time in American law where if you said a website, even in a joke or parody context, you were then legally obligated to buy the domain.
Interesting.
That explains Lisa's email address from
Yes.
yeah.
And that's why they had whatbadgerseat.com that was just a description of what badgers eat.
Nice. Well, hey, sometimes people need to know.
Yeah.
I had
that's
to Google
important.
the other day, do foxes bark? So turns out, kind of.
Oh, have you heard the fox been going off around here at night?
No.
Sort of makes a wow, wow.
Oh, wait, yes. I
Yeah.
thought that was a bat or something. I don't know.
No, we've got a mad fox problem in the neighbourhood at the moment.
Well, that's weird.
We got even a letterbox drop that they're trying to rally a community action meeting to try and solve the fox problems.
Do
I mean-
most people here have chickens?
Yeah.
I mean, why, what are they upset about? Are the foxes, are they encroaching onto people's living rooms and like stealing stuff from their fridges
They
at
are
night?
taking picnic baskets. So,
Well, you would have a bear problem here, so I guess
yeah.
may as well have the foxes do it instead.
yeah.
So we
I mean,
need some bears to take out the foxes.
So all we need is a bear patrol and a fox patrol.
That
The
would
fox-
work, yeah. I mean, we saw what the result of the cane toads thing was. So, I mean, why not have bears running around
Problem
foxes?
fixed.
Of course.
There we go.
Cane toads.
Well, they are coming south.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, just back on Danger Dog. I loved the parody names they had as well. Sarah Jessica Barker and Molly Ringworm.
Yeah, the fact they, within the animation, paused for laughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that felt very purposeful.
Yeah. Oh, and they showed in the animation, you can see the chunks of pukes are the animators and their friends. Were there any other cartoony things that stood out to you from this episode?
Just when they're drawing their own cartoons, Ralph just goes, "I'm called Ralph," and just starts drawing on
Starts drawing
himself.
it himself.
It never occurred to me. He's holding a pencil there.
Yes,
Oh.
yeah. And he's drawing all over his face.
Yeah.
Well, at least there's no blood, but then again, it is Ralph, so I mean,
Yeah.
who really knows?
At least they panned away very quickly.
Although, speaking of, Bart does complete a drawing of Angry Dad with just a regular lead pencil, so
Oh, yeah.
graphite rather. So yeah.
Yeah, and later on, and now to add colour.
We'll just hit one particular key on the computer.
Yeah,
Yep.
the colorize key.
Photoshop, how far you've come.
No, was that Photoshop or was that Paint?
Probably,
It looks
actually,
like
yeah,
Paint.
O2.
Probably MS Paint.
Yeah.
MS Paint. I do love when Microsoft announced they were going to take that away and everyone got angry.
And they were dads.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be like, what, a kilobyte? Just
Yeah.
put it on there. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot more wackiness to talk about in the episode about Angry Dad, but how about the heart? Was this a particularly emotional episode of The Simpsons?
They tried to be towards the end. I mean, Bart did end up saving his dad's life because Homer has rage issues, and so letting him yell it all out saved his life. So, I mean, it's kind of a bit heartish, but it doesn't really pluck the strings.
No. No, it doesn't really well up the feelings. It's more functional hard.
Yeah, I think mostly from the cringe of watching those just goiters just pop out on Homer's neck. Because I'm sitting there watching this episode, I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. What part don't I like? And then he's like, pop, pop. I'm like, oh,
that's the bit.
That's
yes,
it.
the body horror aspect you didn't like so much.
Well, and also just that part didn't need to be there. Like, that's functionally
well, how else are you going
pointless.
to show rage?
Any other way? Have him pop a blood vessel in the eye or something. At least that happens.
Like the like when he's sucking the grease out from the...
I mean, maybe not that much.
Because that would work, yeah.
But yeah, and by the time he's got all the Hulk paint, it's just, boils on boils on boils and ugh.
Well, okay, let's go meta for this because Philip J. Fry's alter ego Lars does appear in the offices of BetterThanTV.com.
Yep.
So if you want to say, did it pluck the heartstrings? No, but when you think back on it, no, it's still too soon.
Yeah, that's an interesting alternate timeline where, Lars goes back in time even further, gets a tan.
Yeah. Well, we know he does come back in time at one point, so... And so while we're still here, happy Friday, July, everybody. This will be the end of it.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, well, it's over tomorrow, but by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be August somethingeth.
Yeah, I think this
Pretty late August.
Yeah, we've been banking episodes pretty hard lately. I think,
Doesn't matter, it's July for me.
It's July right now, so that's all that matters.
And it'll always be Friday, July in my heart.
Oh.
Yes.
And that's the real heart of the episode. Yeah, there's not a lot here. It's not going for it, but hey, it doesn't matter. It's still a fun time. But ultimately, does this feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Are these the characters we know and love?
Yeah, Lisa's definitely the Lisa we all know and love.
Yeah, Bart for sure as well. I think Homer's a little too the angry version of Homer, but they needed that functionally, but it's just, there's a little too much rage, but
I think Marge and Flanders are definitely hit off into the sidelines for this episode.
Yeah.
And the choir meeting that's going to happen later.
Well,
and we get a revisit of the God said to Noah, there's going to be a floody, that song.
Yeah.
When was that last in the show? Because they did it. It was one of
when
the
they're Dad, the heathen's getting away.
Oh, yeah. I see him, son. Yeah, I agree with your point about Homer being, to the nth degree as far as the rage goes, because he's...
Yeah, it's usually just a stupid thing instead of just... But,
well, it's only that when he's building a barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just trying to sit in a lawn chair.
Well, what the hell is that?
This'll teach you. Why is the chair? Why am I on fire?
Although I do like the line, lousy minor setback, stupid world. It's like, I've been there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using that in my rage-filled moments.
But in Bizarro world.
And
I'm giving you a ticket, officer.
Yeah, and the show itself, this is a sillier episode of The Simpsons, but I don't feel like it's a major break at all, really.
No, the characters that are used are pretty much on point, apart from Homer's extension.
Yeah, they're just a little more exaggerated in some of their aspects, but not off-model entirely.
Yeah. And I like it's an advancement because, Bart has always sort of been a stand-in for Matt Groening, so him developing a cartoon, but what does that look like if Matt had come up in the aughts instead of in the 90s and 80s? Yeah. I think that's pretty interesting. But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Oh, yeah, I'd watch it again, yeah.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Definitely, I'm going to watch it again, and if we watch things again, we say we would do that. We like to think about what playlist we'd put them in. So what are some other episodes that remind you of this one?
Mentions of stock.
Stock?
Yeah,
the stock playlist, sure.
So put it in the one where everyone gets rich because the power plant gets sold.
Yep.
Burns to effing the craft work, whatever it's called.
Trying to think. There's other ones where they delve into animation as well. So any of the ones where Itchy and Scratchy are the main focus, and that one where Homer buys. Oh, he also buys stock in that animation studio where he wears the suit and he's the dog.
Yeah. Isn't that just the fuck you intro though? Or does that keep going? Okay.
Yeah, you can build playlists off fuck you intros.
Yeah, true. That's true. Playlists can be anything. I'm also going to say having personal projects come to fruition. So put this in with Diatribe of a Housewife, where Marge writes her first novel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right, yes.
Does the trashy romance novel.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right. BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
I'm still not entirely satisfied with the whole ending, like the hulking out and him just falling into green paint is maybe a bit much, and those neck lumps are just make me uncomfortable. I want to poke them and
You want to poke them? I thought that was the whole problem.
I want to not, but I also want to. It's like
Isn't there a TV program for people like you, some Dr. Popper, Pimple Popper or something?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel that's now its own TV series.
Yeah.
Wow, what an age to be alive. Man, it's honestly, I remember this one not being as good as the time as I had with it, so I don't want to change too much. I think the commentary on internet culture was surprisingly on point, especially for the era, and it's still pretty relevant now. And
Well, especially
watching
like,
a .com go bust as
And
well.
the fact that no one made any money out of it
Yeah.
is another thing.
At least it's just like, what's your business model? And he's like, have some stock.
Have some stock. How much stock will it take for you to stop asking these questions?
Yep.
But yeah, not only being a commentary on internet cartoons of the day, but the .com bubble as a whole. And it's not about how much stock you have. It's about how much copper wiring you can steal from the building.
What, do you mean bubbles can burst?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I do have one other thing, though, because, and just to quickly explain, we have a friend called Jordan who's very anally retentive. So we gave him his own segment called Jordan's Anal Corner, which for his theme music is just yelling that. But as we yell it more and more, it gets weirder and weirder. So just to explain what I'm going to do before I do it, I do have a quick Jordan's Anal Corner. So Mo basically gets in Homer's car, rams it into a light post, it explodes, but in the next scene, it's in the driveway.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
They do an establishing shot of the house, and it's right there. It's like,
Quick turnaround on the body shop in Springfield.
That's
Very
fair enough. I do like fire as a recurring theme in this episode, though.
Yeah.
Homer sets himself on fire trying
Yeah.
to do the lawn chair. Mo sets himself on fire trying to be Homer.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. You pretend to be Homer, you either die by electrocution or you catch fire.
That's well, depends on who you talk to, which grimy person you talk to, really.
So yeah, we'll put that in that playlist. That, of course, fire.
Yes.
How about you, Craig? What would you like to change about this episode?
The only thing that really annoys me about the episode, so two things. Stan Lee doesn't leave ever, so I expect to see him in the android's dungeon next episode.
Yeah.
He has to be there, but he's not, obviously.
Yeah.
The other thing is that people didn't make any money out of it. Whilst that's so true about the .com era, it'd be nice if they got something out of it, which they obviously kind of do later on in a few episodes' time, a number of episodes' time.
Yeah.
Actually, that was something I wanted to change. Because you've got Stan Lee there, he should see someone infringing on his copyright and then just set on him. Like,
Interesting.
Homer gets tackled by the Springfield police. They're terrible at things. they actually managed to stop him. It's like, no, it should be Stan Lee and his high-priced lawyers.
Yeah. And actually, that leads into what I'd change about the episode. We don't actually see Homer doing that much damage as Hulk Homer. So if they're really going to go with this, I
Yeah.
wanted to see him punch out a couple of walls and windows and
He literally
things.
punches a parking meter, but it doesn't do anything. And then he punches a lamppost, and it doesn't do anything.
Someone explain to me where the $10 million worth of damage was.
Exactly.
It wasn't anywhere unless it's, that's one of those obviously deleted scenes somewhere.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
he
already...
just wrecks a shop full of Fabergé eggs.
That's the whole thing. It's like the missing scenes from the Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Explains everything.
So, yeah, and I understand, this is already a pretty packed episode. They forego most of the intro gags for this and just do a pretty brief couch gag as well. So, there wasn't a lot of time for it, I suppose, but...
I mean, you can technically cut some of the dogs vomiting. Technically.
Oh, you mean the vomit from mouth to mouth to mouth to mouth to mouth?
Yeah, I mean, if
No,
you want to
leave it in,
sacrifice
double it.
art for story, then,
Well, I mean, there still were a couple of gags that kind of fell flat for me. Like, why is Luigi in the school assembly when Principal Skinner announces that Pizza Day is now
Oh, yeah.
Italian USA?
With a
sauce
with a
bread?
monkey.
Yeah, with Giuseppe.
Giuseppe the monkey, yeah.
Yeah. That felt very pointless and weird.
Well, that's the only way they could actually say the gag to make it work.
Yeah.
Which to me means that the gag didn't have to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
No. And also the other thing that I'm like, this felt awkward to me, and it gave me actually a bit of a douche chill, was when Kearney's like, angry dad rocks, now. It's like, what?
That was weird.
Why?
Yeah, that was like, he's so impressed he's being lame.
Yeah. That makes no sense.
I mean, it's not even at the height of Bill and Ted, so that air
Yeah.
guitar makes no sense.
Yeah, this is in the aughts,
Yeah.
We're beyond the guitars, and, we're in the thick of Backstreet Boys and 98 Degrees.
Although, fun fact, Phil's theory on the decline of civilization is a lack of air guitar.
Uh-huh.
So, hi, Phil.
Well, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
The last time we saw it was in the noughts.
Yep.
Yep.
And
And that's been
everything's just got worse since then. So,
Phil's Decline of Civilization corner.
very specific corner. But
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're here. BT, do you have any other notes?
Indeed, I do. So at the beginning, they have the job fair where Kirk just talks about being the assistant to the guy who puts the flyers under the windshield.
Oh, yeah.
Really strong start. And I do like when Milhouse is then, do you know Mom's getting remarried? This is something we should talk about later, son. Actually, you've got time, just do it now. It's a weird but good.
We have
I like it.
56 minutes, so yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
What state does Danger Dog live in? This is like Illinois.
Michigan.
Michigan. Sorry, I wasn't
yep.
paying that much attention. But it's just like the setup to the classic Simpsons question. It's just like, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Homer's like, I'm not into rage anymore. I'm into soft music, candles, and horse tranquilizer.
Just him like patting Marge's face as well.
And that's it. Good night underneath the suds.
And when it's suggested that John Goodman would play him in the Angry Dad movie, he's like, it should obviously be Gary Oldman.
That slew me.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Gary Oldman.
To be fair, Gary Oldman can play pretty much anything.
Absolutely. That's why it should be Gary Oldman.
Yeah. How about you, Craig? Any other notes about this episode?
No, I think we've actually covered all of them, apart from the fact that it is one that you can rewatch. The glaring problems with the episode tend to be washed over by the fact that it's actually overall really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's definitely a joke factory episode. That's a good joke factory. All right, well, it's time for my final notes.
Now it's time for his final notes. Elliot's final notes.
We have theme songs.
Yeah,
Well, I should have done air guitar to that.
Hey, you were unprepared. It's fine.
One-time Simpsons characters that I absolutely love. I fucking love Seamus.
Never seen again.
Nope.
Never seen again.
You can assume he lost that fight. I'll turn your groin to pudding.
Pudding.
And Willie goes, you talk like a poet. And it's like, was that really that poetic?
I mean, for Willie, yeah.
And you fight like one too.
Wonderful. Love Seamus. And I would have totally watched his 90-minute lecture inside a bath, I think I said.
I want to see Seamus and Willie do a buddy cop movie.
Well, the TV show I want to see is When Dinosaurs Get Drunk.
Just stumble in the tar pits like,
We've all been there.
Yeah.
You know how it is. You go out, you think, oh, I'll just have one. Next morning, you're in a tar pit.
They had Dan Castellaneta playing himself, actually. There was a guest appearance. So, yeah, I thought that was a nice little nod and a wink to him doing the voice of Homer. Yeah. There was a weird joke with Krusty. I didn't catch the celebrity's name. He's like, get that animal who's always chewing on my groin.
Susan Anton.
Who's that?
An actress, I think, who was known for her partying ways at the time.
Right.
Oh, dear.
And enjoyed chewing groins.
Well, at least that's what they're saying. Allegedly so, Susan.
Yeah.
Allegedly so.
Yeah, no slander here.
No, not at all.
Yeah, American actress, one-time Miss America as well. Yep. Nice dig, Sportswelder. And Homer's line, I'm a rageaholic. I can't live without rageahole. Beautiful line. And yeah, my final note is Homer singing Mellow Yellow.
Homer singing is always usually pretty fun.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford Donovan.
Yeah. Just Homervan.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of a running theme. He kind of half remembers the lyrics and just kind of puts his own spin on it.
Yeah, always, which is kind of nice. But I mean, it's Homer being Homer.
well, yeah, I still I don't associate the actual lyrics with this. It's for me, it's always going to be they call me Caramello.
TV advertising.
Yeah, it's insidious.
International listeners, yeah, Caramello koalas are the fucking best. They're
They're
little
quite good.
koala chocolates with caramel inside. Oh, gooey, rich, and chewy.
Yep, they're just the best.
And it's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. But maybe if the episode was just, you give it participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold. But for the best of the very best, the episode you couldn't live without and the Simpsons couldn't exist without, you give cubic zirconia. Now I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Oh, man. I'm going to give it a silver. It's just not quite up to gold for me. Like, it's very close. It's just, I don't know. It's just missing a certain, as the French say, le mot juste. I don't know.
Nice.
BT, you're next.
Man, I'm on the other border. I'm on the brilva between the bronze and the silver. I remember thinking this episode was much more eye-rolly and bad. I actually had a lot more fun with it than I expected. I'm not crazy about the ending, but everything else was pretty solid. So I kind of want to put this pretty well on par with Simple Simpson, the Pie Man episode, which I gave a silver. So I'm going to go with a silver.
All right. And Craig, finish it off.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty happy with the silver rating because there's a lot of hooks that get thrown into future episodes. So it's definitely one that feeds into others. It's not a standalone that dies on its own. So yeah, it's definitely a silver.
All right, cool. Unanimous silver. And this will be the... How many have we got now? This will be the third episode from season 13 to be dubbed a silver. It'll be joining Treehouse of Horror 12, which has like the Harry Potter parody.
And every moment of my life is agony. And Pierce Brosnan is the murderous house.
Oh, that's
so
right.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. The 2001 spoof. Yeah.
And also Little Girl in the Big Ten, which I think is the Lisa pretends to be in college episode.
Yeah.
And what else? Some other... Oh, Diatribe of a Mad Housewife is also a silver. The one where Marge writes the trashy romance novel. Guess Who's Coming to Criticize Dinner, where Homer becomes a food critic.
Yes. Exploding pastries.
With chocolate so dark, light cannot escape its surface. I'm still annoyed that's only a silver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd definitely put that up for re-review. Well, that about does it for the teens era. Now we are going to the HD era. Why are we doing this out of order? Because the HD episode is a sequel to this episode.
What? A sequel? That could possibly not go wrong at all.
Could never happen.
So, yes, we are going to be watching Angry Dad the movie. We'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our HD era episode. God, that felt weird. Feels so weird to do this out of order.
Yep.
Season 22, Episode 14, Angry Dad the Movie. First released in February of 2011, it was directed by Matthew Nastuck, written by John Frink. In this episode, this is the one where they produce Angry Dad into a movie. Guys, what did we think?
Mixed emotions.
Yeah.
Got some good laughs, but then the story is garbage. But then I was laughing again. Then the jokes tanked. Then they got better again. Then, all over the place with this
So,
one.
it was a bit of a mixed laundry, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. I fully agree. I loved a lot of the jokes. Even there's some of my favorite bits that have like even HD era Simpsons ruined my brain material here. But yeah, the story, especially after the halfway point, just gets so badly paced and it feels out of order.
There's so much filler as well. Like, here's a really long clip from our parody of Wallace and Gromit. Here's a really long clip from our Pixar parody. Here's Ricky Gervais doing two separate, see, what I'm really, but no, see, the thing about that, this.
Yeah.
The episode really didn't have a lot to it, and they just threw a whole lot of fillers in there. I think they were trying to be clever, and I think they hoist themselves with their own Picard.
But it's like the most expensive way to try and be clever. You'll have to like completely change animation styles from like 2 whole minutes and
of
filler material. That's so weird.
Well, yeah, let's hook into the questionnaire. BT, what stands out to you from this episode for better or worse?
Again, I think I literally just said it. All the extra switch in animation styles for just these long, mildly amusing bits at best.
What was weird about these to me is that they were done in 2 separate bits, like in 2 different award shows.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe they put them all together into one and they thought, oh, that's probably too much at one time. But yeah, it did feel like they were filling it out, though.
Also, there's something just inherently weird about Angry Dad just winning all these awards as well. Bart now has a Golden Globe, Nickelodeon's Choice Award, and an Oscar.
And he was
And a presidential honor as well.
Yeah.
Like, what else did he pick up there? Have the Simpsons almost EGOT now?
The Simpsons have an EGOT because the B Sharp's got a Grammy.
Yeah, they got a Grammy, but do they have a Tony yet? Is the only question. Is the only thing left.
Oh, a good question.
I mean, coming season 38, but I mean...
Yeah, Angry Dad, the stage show.
Call us and tell us, do the Simpsons have a Tony?
Yeah, there's just something inherently weird about it winning. Like, Bart is now an Oscar winner for the rest of the show.
Yeah, it felt like a rapid escalation to me because of that as well. Just all of a sudden, Angry Dad the movie has been made. And I was like, oh, I thought the story was going to be the making of the movie.
Well, it seems that Angry Dad the movie is absolutely second or third fiddle to the lack of plot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And how about you, Craig? What stands out to you from this episode for better or worse?
Irony of the fact that they used 2 computery, fully animated bits, the Pixar homage and the Wallace and Gromit homage, as lengthy portions. Whereas if you go all the way back, the most expensive Simpsons episode in monetary terms that was ever made was the bit where I think it was called, was it Homer Cubed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that had that bit of computer animation. That was the most expensive Simpsons episode ever to be made at the time. And then they're just throwing the stuff in there as fillers, which I think...
at least Homer Cubed was, story integrated.
Well, that's right. But this wasn't.
This was padding.
Exactly right.
Expensive padding.
But that's the irony part of it, that they think so little of that clash of animation culture now, so that they can actually just throw that in for the hell of it.
Yeah, that's right. And we sort of came into this when we reviewed Mummy Beerist. It was that episode where Marge helps Mo take over the bar, and there's just this random Pixar's
watch
Cards.
a trailer for Cards.
That's right, Cards, yes.
Yeah, and again, is a long and expensive bit of nothing.
So yeah, it's an interesting point you make that, it's just so flippantly dealt with.
It feels very much like, see, Dad, I told you my 3D animation degree wasn't a waste of money and time. I get to use it in my job, wiping.
Well, because, I mean, if they just used animation clips of animated films, it would have been flatter than it was.
Yeah, so they've sort of sacrificed the ramping up of the Angry Dad story to make way for these, very extended bits. And also the episode started out, just for the sake of it, I'm going to say what stood out to me. It also started out with a lengthy Itchy and Scratchy segment.
Again, it was padding.
Yeah.
I think that's the longest Itchy and Scratchy that we've seen that I've seen in a number of seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, quite possibly the longest ever. I don't know. It's a nice Kill Bill parody, kung fu bit, but it's lengthy, and you're like, my initial thought is not, this is a great bit. My initial thought is, they are padding.
Yep, absolutely.
But again, it was a really good bit. Like I loved the silhouette work and
especially where the silhouette turns from the kung fu parallel to tango dancing.
Yep.
That's great. Or when he's punching the paper, but it's the punch card for his final exam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good bits out of that.
Yeah, they put a bit of thought into it, but still lengthy and padding.
Yep.
And while I find out what the longest Itchy and Scratchy was, I can confirm now that, you're right, that was the most expensive Simpsons episode. It has since recently been overtaken by the Lego episode that they did.
And that was stunning.
Yeah.
That was stunning.
Yeah, a beautiful looking episode, but again, much like a lot of HD era ones, the story wasn't quite there. Still looked great, though.
But that's just the intro bit, because then we have this whole thing about the guy who, and I actually quite liked it, how we start Angry Dad the movie becomes from the guy who owns a chair company. The original animation studio that did Angry Dad, the web serial, bought a lot of his chairs and so are in debt and had to sell their IPs to him. It's a weird misdirect for everything, but it's pretty funny.
That's kind of nice. And also, again, like we said in the last episode, we get to see Lars again, which made me very happy.
Which was amazing. It's a detail that they wouldn't have needed to do to go back and get these background
character
models.
Character models, which I thought was nice. It's a very nice attention to detail.
Yeah, and also the reason why Dan Castellaneta wasn't doing the voice for Angry Dad the movie was brilliantly explained. That, he blew his voice out from shouting at us because we didn't pay him the first time. Which tied into a joke that they made in that episode. So there was some lovely tying back to that one, but just that it fell flat and that they felt like they needed to pad out the episode with so many other things. It's a surprising. I've got so many mixed emotions on this episode.
Well, that's where their cleverness was. Their cleverness was bringing this in as a sequel, making all the references, and then I think they ran out of steam. They didn't know what to do with the making of it. Perhaps they didn't have any jokes for that. Perhaps they didn't have a good setup for it for some reason, and they decided to go all out with the awards things, which in themselves were padding.
Yeah.
It may actually be, who knows, but it almost feels like they've gone, hey, we made these movie trailer parodies for no reason. Just write an episode around them. It'll be fine. You don't have to do hard work. And someone was like, no, I'll make an episode.
Yeah.
So then it's like they based the episode around the extended filler clips they wanted to use.
Well, to me, it also felt like a very inside baseball sort of episode where, because so much of it was about award shows, it felt like, Simpsons, we get it. You've been to a lot of awards shows. Good for you.
Yeah.
Play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Twice.
Yeah?
Oh, wow.
Yep, twice.
Never before now.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, it's your
Believe
first time?
it.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Say, wow.
Oh, I thought...
Well, actually, I recognize some of the jokes out of it, which is weird, so I must have picked up some of it somewhere.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, because, this is one of my regular rotations because season 22 is far and away my favorite HD era season. And, this episode would be in my circulation quite often. So
Okay. Well, maybe you were watching it in the background and I was doing something cool, like repairing a motorcycle or doing push-ups.
Or maybe you were just eating a motorcycle instead of watching that episode.
That's also possible.
Not working on a chair.
Which I like the fact that they brought in the chair by hitting Homer over the head with a chair as well.
That's
that was
right.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
But that's where the clever bits end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd also like the chair manufacturer's flashback to when he was a kid and his dad's like, "What are you building a chair for? We sit on the floor in this family." It's so absurd, it was great.
Needless backstory of the classic, shedding a single tear for his hard childhood sitting on a hardwood floor.
But I must admit, I did catch some Gervais simmering tempers while he was on screen.
Yeah, it was the last time he was on, we were not amused in the slightest. We really tore that one a new one.
Yeah.
I mean, Gervais is a bit of a mixed one for me because, like, of course, I grew up with The Office and really loved a lot of his early stand-up. I don't like his stand-up much anymore. I find he's very mean-spirited and, I don't know, he used to be a lot more self-referential, I think. And so, yeah, when I see him on stage, my defenses go up. But in an episode that also had so much padding to introduce Gervais as well, it's like, oh, man, you're taking time away from plot to do this.
Well, I mean, again, Halle Berry, Russell Brand. There's a lot of guest stars in there.
There are so many guest stars in this episode. As you mentioned, Halle Berry, Russell Brand all playing themselves, Ricky Gervais, Maurice LaMarche was in there. JB Smoove was playing one of the Rollin' 80s. That was another bit where I got a bit of a douche chill with the other actor who is clearly white.
Yep.
Even that, it's like such a weird, whenever you have this disposable non-character to be essential to the plot, it's always a bit, okay, what?
Yeah.
How did Bart and Lisa manage to go to the Oscars and neither of their parents had any idea what was happening? That's a bit interesting.
Yeah, and just to have, random Rollin' 80s.
Yeah, just rocking up and being like,
again,
hey, here's plot information.
Missing scenes.
Yes,
that's all I can say.
Weird.
Missing scenes, yeah.
And for those that don't know, JB Smoove, he was in the recent Spider-Man movie. He was one of the teachers there, and he was also a big player in the later seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right. Yeah, I know that guy now.
Yep. And also Nick Park was playing himself. God damn, this is loaded. And I'm probably going to get this name wrong. Arnis Hassi in the Itchy and Scratchy cartoon. Yeah, playing the martial arts teacher. So, yeah, what's that? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. 8 guest stars. Crazy.
Well, okay, there's more padding as well.
Yeah. So how about the wackiness? Was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
It pains me to bring this up, but Homer shuffles a deck of cards with his butt.
Yes!
Which was great.
And it's not the worst part.
And then he opens a bottle of like Coke with his butt, and then it like he offers it to the guy, and he's like, "No, thank you. More for me." And then he just shelves it.
That's
and
it.
it's really uncomfortable, and I was sad.
I think that's the gag.
Oh no, I know it's the gag. It doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, that's true.
You can hit me with a baseball bat, and I can know it's a baseball bat, but it'll still hurt.
It's still going to hurt unless it's Nerf.
Oh man, yeah, it's Nerf or nothing.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that's true.
But even then, like glass or Nerf bottle, that's still gonna hurt.
Well, drinking a Coke up his butt. There's no other way to take it.
I mean, you look at that. The butt gag went on for too long. Okay,
Yeah.
the cameos went on for too long. The clips went on for too long. And I like me some Ricky Gervais, I really do.
Yeah.
But his riffing went on for too long.
Yeah.
Altogether, I think the episode was full of moments that just elongated for the sake of elongating.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a shame because, we're talking about the Itchy and Scratchy, but I quite liked the cartoons that they were doing as well. Even the odd ones, the French animation one.
Yeah, that is a reference to Triplets of Bellevue, I think it's called.
Right.
So it's actually a pretty good little short film. I recommend checking it out.
Oh, okay.
It was very big at the time, and it was a very distinct animation style.
Yep. And what was the other one?
There was the other one, the black and white one, which I think is a reference back to the Belgian Film Festival. I think it was in one of Lisa's future flash forwards that she goes to see. That's of exactly the same kind of Russian Soviet era style.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was a specific reference or just a general everything out of Russia looks like this and is about tanks being sad.
Yeah, war is awful and I've caused death, so therefore I'm going to cry. And then 50 years later, there's a landmine, the kids are all dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which was, great because that segment really slowed to a crawl.
Yeah.
And then just to have that immediate boom, like it was like, oh, wow.
Slaps you back into it.
Yeah, but again, like these segments slowed to a crawl. And what were the other two? So we had condiments as well. What do we think of this short?
There was no reason for it.
Yeah.
It was useless. As a Toy Story parody, it was more than subpar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pick one of the jokes out of it, and just end it on that. Because you have, the waffle hides in the waffle iron, and then the peanut butter jar gets used up. He's like, don't let me be filled with pencils, and then he falls off the counter, breaks.
Smashes
One joke, and done.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I liked that joke, but they were like throwing in a bunch of story elements as well, and it's like, no, just do the joke. I agree.
Yeah, it almost feels like someone's auditioning, like, hey, Pixar, you want to pick up my pilot script here? Hey?
Yeah, he's totally managed to sneak in a little treatment, like a proof of concept into this.
It could work.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Nope.
And what was the other one? There was of course, the Willis and Crumble.
Yeah, Woman Crumble, that's right. Yes.
So yeah, as a parody of Wallace and Gromit, I think it looked the part, but it just dragged out too long.
It went for freaking ages.
And it wasn't a parody. That could have been lifted directly from a Wallace and Gromit.
Very close to wacky contraptions and wholesomeness.
Absolutely. There was nothing that was out of place. It wasn't even a parody. It again, didn't need to be there.
No, but my biggest problem is that the contraption it lacked that Wallace and Gromit sort of style of unnecessary, just Rube Goldberg-y sort of things that you would see in a Wallace and Gromit. Yeah, this was just like it painted the gnomes.
Also, no one says trousers.
No. I think they tried to do it with Marmite to be clever, but it wasn't clever.
No.
Also, she says homemade Marmite. That is clearly bought Marmite.
Let's not even go into how they'd have homemade Marmite. That's just wrong. No. I did like one particular part where they actually reference Homer's Rube Goldberg from the last episode where he gets angry, and then Bart takes it up in the very beginning of the episode where he does his whole skateboard with the rope around the ceiling fan. I thought that was rather nice.
Yeah. What surprised me in this as well is that he managed to get it through the Flanders house, yet they were surprised when he appeared. Like, he clearly set this up a few minutes ago.
Yeah, Rod and Todd don't see anything.
Yeah. But, yeah, talking about filler, like, this didn't need to be here at all because Bart has no consequence for his action. And, like, it's all just set up so Homer can go, oh, you cost me so much money. Oh, now you're going to make me rich. Punishment over. Like, yeah, it didn't really serve its functional purpose, but goddamn, it looked the part. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, normally everything that Bart does have some form of consequence in the episode, and this time it has nothing.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that he kept seeing that clown face in the fan, though.
Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah.
You think it would be an animated fan, and it would be talking to him like, come on, Bart, ride me.
Yeah.
What are you, chicken?
Yeah, a little bit of Willy Wonka and a fan thing going up the top there, I thought, But that's also that clown voice that they used in that image was obviously referencing something, but that's lost in the mists of
what was this
deleted scenes.
2011.
Yeah, no idea then. What clown-based movie was popular then? I don't know.
Yeah, so this is an episode filled with so much cartooniness. The last thing I wanted to mention before we move on to other questions is the actual Angry Dad footage that we saw. What'd you guys think of that?
That was like the most boring clip of all of them. He gets angry and punches a dam and drinks it.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, ironically, he hulks out.
Yeah.
But he doesn't turn green. He just grows in size, punches a dam, and nothing happens.
The punchline is, that's refreshing.
Maybe that was the punchline.
Yeah. He said, damn, that's good.
Oh, what a good line.
H2O, dear. One thing I did appreciate about this is the shadowing that they used on the actual animation style, and it actually reminded me a lot of the Simpsons movie and the same sort of shadowing that they used in that to sort of differentiate it a little from the cartoon. And there was another Angry Dad clip where he got mad at the moon that was in there that I liked.
That one I thought was short. That was direct. And so
that was all in the style of the original.
Yeah,
which was kind
so
of
that
nice.
was the callback to the first one. So one thing I did just quickly notice, Bart is both writer and director of Angry Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Why is he directing it?
Well, I mean, if you want to take the kitchen knife into account, he's also the editor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how editing works.
Absolutely. Just cut the frames up.
That's it. I mean, you've seen with Phil, he's got his big box of editing knives when...
Yeah.
What disturbs me is you said he's got a box of editing knives. That's an entirely concept. It's a thing.
Chefs have their box of kitchen knives and editors
they
have
got that
box
little
of
thing where it
editing knives.
rolls out and they just chop.
Yeah, just like a sous chef. Yeah, sushi chef. Yeah,
that's it. A sous editor.
Yeah, they chop it, they scoop it around, and they fling it into your bowl. And everyone's
I think that's the way the Bart did it, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So how about the heart of this episode? How was the emotional core?
Keep moving.
Yeah, really.
It's so rushed and tacked on. Because every moment of Bart's like, I finally get to receive an award, but it wasn't just me, it was all these people. And it was my dad too. And it's like he got there with no prompt.
That's just we need schmaltz, put that in.
Yeah.
I didn't find that there was any real emotional core to it at all. The most emotional thing about it was Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of you people are my friends.
Yeah. And having Elton John go.
Yeah, who was it? It was him and Lady Gaga. Just staring daggers to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so little to talk about with the emotion.
There's no emotional payoff in this episode.
No.
But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No.
Yeah, it felt like
no, not at all.
if The Simpsons was a webcomic that got turned into a series, that got turned into a movie, and they based a video game off that movie, it would feel like the series based off that video game.
Yeah.
Like so many steps removed from itself that I don't know what I'm watching exactly anymore.
I was about to say it felt like a walkthrough from a video game.
Yeah.
With all the shortcuts taken.
Yeah, that's very true.
But also a bunch of different video games at the same time as well.
Well, they're just the side missions that you reference.
Oh,
you
yeah,
see.
yep.
Yeah.
Come on, we're in SideQuest Studios. You know how SideQuests work.
Yes. Yeah, the show doesn't feel like itself, but I guess the characters, God, even then, Bart doesn't really feel like him.
He learns his lesson apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
And Homer doesn't learn his lesson. He only learns it because he's not been invited to the Oscars and then gets in without a ticket somehow.
But does he ever realize, I was probably being too much of a credit hog? Does he have that moment?
No, he has the moment in the sense that he says it, but he doesn't get it.
No, it's just lip service. It really is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the beginning of the episode feels like a Simpsons episode, but then it just drops off onto your game.
Yeah.
Although I do like Homer's early line of when he thinks Bart's going to be rich, he goes, "Ooh, remember that guy who drove you to school all that time?"
Yeah.
The funniest moment of the entire episode was where Homer gets our teenage fast food guy to mix his tip jar into the pinkberry.
That is easily one of my absolute favorite jokes of the HT era,
Yeah.
and I reference it all the time when I'm going to those stupid yogurt places.
But that's it. But that's the funniest part of the entire episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my second note. So.
But sir, that's my tip jar. Mix it. And yeah, it's just one of those jokes that, you can tell people out of context, and it plays every time. Fuck, I love it.
Yep.
Yes or no, would you watch this one again?
I would choose not to watch it, but if it was on in the background, I'd probably go and make the cat some food.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I might hangover test it and just, if I'm comfy and it's on, but I'm definitely going to ignore that second half. Everything post Golden Globe, I'm going to tune out.
Yeah, this isn't holding up for me on this viewing, but it's certainly not a bad episode for me. I still like a lot of the jokes, so I'd watch it again. And, if we're watching episodes again, we'll put it in a playlist. What playlist does this go in?
Award ceremonies.
Yep.
Yeah,
when
it's a good one.
Itchy and Scratchy gets their award.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Bart getting into trouble with fans when he has Grandpa's teeth and he's latched onto that fan.
Yeah.
They're playing Saber Dance again, I think.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Good Itchy and Scratchies.
Long,
It's long, but possibly one of the best ones that doesn't just play it for an instant punchline.
Yeah.
Luigi's long history of being part of the Hollywood press.
That was just...
Yeah.
That was left field.
It really was. Like, it could have just as easily been like someone from the school newspaper.
But when they were watching the Angry Dad episode before, they were like, oh, Luigi's unnecessarily in that episode. Let's get him in this episode unnecessarily.
So Luigi playlist.
Now we know what
Unnecessary Luigi playlist.
But he's still also delivering pizzas, specifically to Sir Anthony Hopkins.
that was
who lives across the road.
lives across the road, and he says, "Damn you to hell." That's Charlton Heston's line from Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Oh, right.
So it's just like, do you even know who that is?
And so that also then begs a question: who else has lived across the road?
Yeah.
George W. Bush has lived across the road. George H.W. Bush has lived across the road. And who is that?
Who is the
other
president after him?
Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford. You like nachos?
football and nachos.
Yeah, he lived across the road, and so now we know Sir Anthony Hopkins lives across the road.
That is like a desirable spot for some reason.
Well, have you seen the house?
It's beautiful, but
It's, probably a nice house. You got to live across the road from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That feels like such a would you rather question. But that is weird that you mentioned Anthony's line as well, because the easy one to me is like, oh, I'll enjoy that pizza with, fava beans and a nice Chianti or something.
Yeah, that would have been the line.
Yeah.
can't do the bit, but still.
It's a specific noise.
It is a very he's very good at it.
Yeah, worth being knighted for that. Just that noise alone.
That's disturbing.
BT, what would you change about this episode?
Man, that entire second half. The plot line that Homer's becoming a glory hog is fine, but do something else with it. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. And for some reason, the montage of him receiving awards is set to the Jurassic Park theme song. or a parody of it. It's like, oh yeah, Jurassic Park, synonymous with people. I mean, it won a lot of awards, but in universe it didn't.
The only reason I could think of it was because Bart was being attacked by the birds.
Oh yeah, that's right. The peacocks.
By the peacocks. It's the only reason I could think that they had that in
peacocks
there.
of the Playboy Mansion.
That's funny you
They were
mentioned.
the raptors.
That's funny you
but
mentioned
still.
that. There's an episode of 30 Rock where Jack Donaghy gets a peacock for reasons, and it surprises Liz, and she goes, living dinosaur.
There you go. That's why.
Yeah, there's the connection.
It's a 30 Rock reference.
Let's just assume everything we don't like is just a 30 Rock reference. That pretty much that. They just go back to the point, go back to the Golden Globe point, and start working again, because that's really where it derails for me.
Yeah.
Everything before that was actually pretty good. I was surprised considering what season is this? Season
22.
22. Yeah, I mean, right smack dab in the 20s. It's was shaky ground, but it was surprisingly good. And then no.
Yeah. How about you, Craig? What would you like to change?
I would insert an entire amount of making of Angry Dad.
Yeah.
Something that gives us the setup for the heart of that story, which was missing. You've got to have a real reason for why. I mean, Homer just going off and getting all the awards is a nice little tack on, but I mean, you want to build up to that. You want to give it some sort of gravitas, and there's just nothing there in the middle there. So you can rip out the whole Golden Globes, throw it away as far as I'm concerned. Keep the Oscars because that's the ultimate award, and then just, we've made the thing, and you've got this award, this award, this award, and now we go to the Oscars, and
And then
you've got
don't
some
win the
sort of
Oscar,
payoff
for God's
there.
sake. It's so weird that
No,
Bart is an
win.
Oscar winner.
It shouldn't win the Oscar. It should probably go to Hixmar or Mixar or whatever it was
Whatever
called.
the hell it was.
Yeah, at the time. And
Hey, did we mention how Wally pulls a gun on Lisa? That was just... What?
Yeah, I get the lamplight doing the threatening, interrogating thing, and the Randy Newman's, you got an enemy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you got Mr. Carrot Head because you can't have Mr. Potato Head there.
Yeah.
Legally distinct.
Yeah, but then Wally with a gun.
Yeah,
So that's the
it's just,
thing.
look what else I found in the garbage, bitch. Yeah, some weird moment.
Yeah, look, I fully agree. It's the back end of the episode is the part that just doesn't have any impact for me. And yeah, the making of Angry Dad is your chance to make Homer annoying, like, because we get a glimpse of it where he sort of blows it off for Taco Tuesday at work, which that was my cover photo on Facebook for the longest time, just that Taco Tuesday banner. Like, there's things like that where he's like really difficult, and you can then lead up to it that post that, he's bagging the movie on Jimmy Fallon and all that sort of stuff. You know, I think there was a lot of scenes that they said happened that I would have liked to see play out.
Wasted opportunities.
Absolutely.
Wasted opportunities.
Yeah, have Homer on Fallon being all, there's a lot of people involved in the making of this, but really it was all me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of my favorite, not in this episode moments is, no, only I may dance.
Yes. Yeah, and what a chance to do a talk show as well and cram in another guest star into this
Yeah,
episode.
sure. Why the hell not?
BT, do you have any other notes?
Some of the other IPs the company had was like the Gina Davis cartoon, internet cartoon, which
Gina Davis project.
should be more of that, as well as Parody Man.
Yeah, I love that Wolverine arm Darth Vader helmet. And
There's a weird Roman Polanski reference.
yeah.
It was just, I don't know what to make of that, but hey, there it is.
I kind of led to a good joke that I like, Bart, you'll be the next Roman Polanski.
What? What's wrong with that? And then my little,
Yeah.
but still, feels just a little weird, a little awkward.
Yeah. It's not something you want to think about.
Yeah, it's a good
Much like the logistics of drinking a soda with your butt.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I made you sad again, didn't
You
I?
did, you bastard. I'll cheer myself up with the little sign gag of muffins are for producers only, and there's like two armed guards next to it.
Muffin guards, yep.
Yep, very important to have muffin guards. And I think that is all my notes.
Do you have any more notes, Craig?
Well, I do have one. The most disappointing part of the entire episode is that, apart from the first third, it ends up feeling like a waste of time.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's the real sticking point of this one. Hey, Simon, I found an extra note. When they're sitting next to the director of Wallace and Gromit, who's like, shakes Lisa's hand, his fingers come off, and goes, I'll put that back. I'm more clay than man now. That's pretty good.
Very good line delivery by Nick Park.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my final notes. It's funny you were mentioning as well the music of the time that the Angry Dad episode would have taken place in the early aughts, and they did the flashback with NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, and I was like, point made.
Yeah.
The original cut of Angry Dad was apparently 4 hours and 35 minutes.
That is a long movie.
Yes.
What this episode?
Yeah. Oh, I loved Lisa's line of, so who are you wearing? I think it's Lamps Plus. Ben Stiller and Jack Black are doing a bit that just won't end.
Okay, that was a little bit of magic.
Yeah,
that was a bit of magic.
Because again, all you see of them is Ben Stiller in an Iron Man costume, Jack Black in a Hulk costume, and they're fighting with lightsabers.
yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what this bit is, but yes, they would do that, and yes, it would go on too long.
There's a weird Banksy.
Yeah, scrolled on
reference?
the wall.
Yeah.
Did he cause some kerfuffle at the Oscars at one point? I don't know.
Oh, speaking of which, when Ricky Gervais is doing his tip jar thing, there's a sign that says, "Do not let this man host," which is reference to his infamous stint as the Oscars host. There's a weird Scorsese ramble. Again, so many drag-out jokes in this. Yeah, and I gotta say, I liked the ending of the carving off a little bit of the Oscar for everybody. Yeah, I think I would put a nice button on it. Mm-hmm. It's time to rank this thing. BT, is your turn to go first.
Man, this one's a little tough because jokes-wise, it should be a bronze. It should be a no-brainer, but yet plot-wise, it's such a just mishmash of boring, annoying material. This one's, if it came on, I would be interested in the first half, and then I would want to leave. I am going to go harsh on this because they squandered what they have, and that bothers me. I'm going to go with a participant. It could have been a bronze. It could have been a bronze.
Ouch. Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, Craig?
I'm calling it a bronze-ticipant. It's halfway between participant and bronze.
You have to pick one.
Oh, do I really?
Yep.
Oh, it's a tarnished bronze. It's a gilded participant. It's it's all right. If I have to pick one, I've got to go with a participant. But I do that one to duress.
Yep.
Because it's got some shining moments that actually give it some metallic bits in it, but really they waste everything after the first third.
I think that's what really bothers me. Like I was very close to a bronze myself, but it's just, they just waste so much and so much.
Oh, well, because, I was surprised because this was just such an easy bronze for me. Just an episode that is okay, you know.
I walked into the room on a bronze, but the more I think about it, the angrier I get. And the more I realize how much I don't want to revisit that second half.
Really, Dad?
What?
You said angry. It makes sense.
I'm not good at anger.
That's okay.
Unless I'm alone in my car. Then I'm great at it.
Oh, okay. That's a different movie.
Yeah, it's a different me.
Damn you, mild inconvenience.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes. Well, that equals a shiny participant all around, which kind of sounds right for it, actually.
Yeah, I wanted this to land somewhere dull bronze, shiny participant, so yeah.
Yeah, and this will be the 4th episode from season 22 to be dubbed as shiny participant. It'll be joining Elementary School Musical. That's the Flight of the Conchords. And,
Real mixed one on that one as well.
Yeah. And because it has that weird B story with Krusty being sued in Holland and Homer and Bart are his legal defense or something.
I forgot about that bit.
The Scorpion's Tail, another episode that I liked and the rest of the room did not.
Especially me. I did not like that.
Yeah, they synthesize an antidepressant out of flowers that they find out after the fact makes your eyeballs pop out.
Oh, yes.
And also, Love is a Many-Strangled Thing, where Homer learns not to strangle Bart with the help of Karima Abdul-Jabbar and Paul
dressed
Rudd.
as him, and he strangles him for months on end.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Just like Ned's spankathon punishment when he's a kid.
Yeah, except that was funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one was that whole episode weirds me out so much because they call attention to the strangling, and like to do that feels so odd. Like, it's just supposed to just be there.
And Bart should be more in the victim role in that episode, but you just want to fucking strangle that kid by the end of it. He's such a prick. All right, and
just like Lisa and the pokey stick.
We did that one recently too. Yeah,
it did reasonably well.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for the HD era. Now we're going all the way back to the classic era, and I am so fucking excited for this episode. This is going to be The Day the Violence Died. We'll be back.
Not the violence. Won't someone think of the children?
And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode for the evening. This was Season 7, Episode 18, The Day the Violence Died. First released in March of 1996, it was directed by Wes Archer, written by John Swartzwelder.
Classic.
Yeah, it's very rare that we get a double Swartzwelder in one podcast, and so glad we did, because in this episode, you all know this one. This is the Chester J. Lampwick, the guy who originally designed Itchy and made the cartoon. Oh my God, what do we think?
It's my favorite episode. one of my favorite episodes. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is just beautiful. It just flows so well. It is classic Swartzweldian at its finest. Well, maybe not its finest. It's certainly fantastic.
Oh, the writing is so goddamn sharp, though. Picking a moment that's going to stand out to me is going to be very difficult, so I'm going to throw it to you guys first. BT, what stands out to you?
All right, first I want to note, again, when we talk about Schwartzweldian pacing, we talk about the fact this hits the ground running. We get it so well. We start off just watching Itchy and Scratchy. They establish it's their 75-year anniversary. We actually had a debate in one of the previous episodes, how long has Itchy and Scratchy been running?
That's right.
75 years is the answer, so
But
way
that's
to do
in
that.
season 7.
Yeah.
Just to explain, because there was an episode, a recent one that we saw where Homer as a child had an Itchy and Scratchy sweater, and we were like, huh.
How long has this been going on? And yet,
But that place, that makes sense.
But no, from that we go to the parade. From the parade we get Bart chasing it to going into Bumville. It's like, this surely was a poorly planned parade. And then bam, we're introduced to the main character and the main thrust of this entire plot flawlessly, straight away, so fluidly and so great. But the part that stands out to me has got to be how well they kind of plant the ending with Mr. Zip that ends up being, what turns it all around. And but it's just in this little quick little joke of all these other characters like Flatulent Fox and Dinner Dog. It's just there and it's planted. You don't even realize it's been planted. And that's something always a mark of good writing when you get told the essential parts of the plot and you didn't even know.
Yeah. It's astounding. Like, to just have it about the design of Itchy, I think was interesting because, they could have done the whole, he ripped it all off.
Yeah.
But just to hone in on that one character, I thought was really interesting, a direction that they took. How about you, Craig? What stands out to you, for better or worse?
Absolutely. That Bart's pacing in this, Bart's lines and his pacing in this is more than on point. Absolutely brilliant. It's very rare that you get to see a cartoon that's thrown off as a cheap half-hour animation that actually has that sort of characterization and that sort of pacing in their dialogue. And, this is gold for that.
Yeah.
It's just so wonderful and following Bart's passion throughout this whole thing and, being a kid that's up against the world and just wanting to help in every way he can and finding out that he can't, and when he does help, it has consequences too.
But even then, before then, we've got, his passion for Itchy and Scratchy, not only just staying up all night watching it with Lisa, but also when he kind of jumps out on the parade is marching proudly with them. And there's kind of it's a really kind of sweet moment. He's a part of the thing he loves for a minute, and then it walks into Bumtown and...
Yeah, and we notice, I don't think I've noticed this before. Someone goes, hey, it's Bart.
It's Bart, yeah.
I mean, Bart was famous at one point in Springfield. He was the I didn't do it boy.
He's not an Oscar winner yet, but...
No. Just give him time.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. And what stands out to me? I'm going to say Chester J. Lampwick. What a character. I think a lot of people's favorite one-time Simpsons character as well.
Definitely up there. I mean... I was sitting there like, okay, so what, roughly, I know I'm going to rank this well, but where? And then the second I remembered, this is the one with, I thought I recognized you. I paid you, was it a basket of corn muffins to paint my chicken coop?
Those muffins were terrible.
Paint my chicken coop.
Make me.
And the blintzes as well.
The call back to it.
We don't care about your blintzes.
Do either of you know what a blintz is?
Yes, blintzes are wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's a. I'm going to get hoisted for this because this is my memory of what they are. It's a pastry stuffed with cream cheese or sweetened cream cheese, and then other types of filling, like fruit filling or whatever, that actually add to that flavoring, and it's dusted with powdered sugar, but it's not hard like a beignet. It's actually very soft.
Oh, right.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, they're delicious.
I could go for a blintz right now. Worth painting a chicken coop for. So Chester was played by Kirk Douglas. This was a revelation to me. I had no idea. Big actor from the golden age of cinema, father to Michael Douglas. Yep. So apparently, according to Nancy Cartwright, he was really difficult to work with, and he actually only did 2 or 3 passes at each line.
I have a weird recollection that this Douglas, whichever one it was, Kirk Douglas, might be one of those actors that, only does one take.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, I got it. We're moving on. Vague recollection that he's like that. But,
a lot of actors from that era were like that. It's like, I've been doing this for that many years. I know my shtick. There
to
we
be
go.
fair, if he was only doing 2 takes, he nailed them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because upon finding that out, that was something that I was looking out for tonight, trying to find any of the dodgy reads, but they don't exist. His passion and everything, it just shines through in
That's
this.
what we assume. Maybe he was originally written as a very sweet man.
Yeah?
Not a grizzled old, I'm quite sorry I didn't paint your chicken coop. Could I perhaps paint it now? Would that make amends?
Yeah.
Those corn muffins weren't too bad.
Certainly I'll give you the money to reopen INS Studios.
Damn it, Douglas is off script again.
Yeah. Yeah, so fantastic performance, fantastic one-time character. I love that he had history within the world of Springfield as well, like with Grandpa and Krusty. Amazing. Play count, how many times before tonight do you think you've seen this episode?
Oh, I know. I've seen this. It's in the 20 digits.
Yep.
800 billion times.
Yeah, I've seen this so many times.
Yeah.
This is so one of my favorites as a kid, and I swear I still see the Channel 10 watermark in the corner of that episode. I watched it that many times. So wackiness, was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
And our next story, a stowaway bear terrorizes astronauts on the space station, which is somehow a line I've never noticed before.
Yeah,
that
That's the
kills
answer.
me.
Wackiness ensues, and then the detective story.
Yeah. But yeah, in an episode about cartoon violence and stuff, yeah, it countered that with, a really serious story, just a courtroom drama, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and who can forget the drama of, they threw me out and then they dropped an anvil on me. Luckily, I was holding an umbrella at the time.
Oh, that's right. And
Very cartoony.
and when they do throw him out of INS Studios and the hat.
Just the comedic timing on that.
That brought back memories.
The hat. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Oh, yeah, and of course the solid gold house and the rocket car, and of course you'd do it when you got $800 million.
I think it was billion.
800 billion, I think it was.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the first time he said, I thought, did I just hear that B? It was, no, it must have been an M. But then the second time, I'm pretty sure he says billions.
And there's a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of zeros on that check.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Why did he bite it, though?
Make
There
sure
was
it's genuine.
There was an old thing where you used to be given coins for something, and then you would check to see if the coin was actually real, or if it was made of lead, then it would bend, and so it wouldn't be a real
right.
piece of money.
Yeah, remember? Bend a bit of poo penny.
This is not opening a bottle and drinking it.
Yeah.
That was last episode.
That's a different thing entirely.
I love, though, that Chester is still, offering people shoe shines.
Old habits, man.
Yeah. But it's an interesting thing that they did as well, that it was Kent Brockman, walking his dog, so they're showing them that he's in an affluent neighborhood
Yeah.
as well.
Well, I mean, where's your solid gold house located?
Yeah, but you have to understand, Chester J. Lampwick, even though he's an older man, is only new money. So he's not worthy of recognition by Brockman, who's had his money for longer.
Yeah, that's right.
And a little bit of wacky I do really like is when Roger Myers Jr. is bankrupt, he still has a desk from the cardboard boxes. It's just because he's always behind a desk, every scene with him. So it's of
And
course
his
he is.
dad's head in an esky
Comfortable in there.
with the Walt Disney head being frozen reference. It's just that's magic. Oh, you got in there, daddy.
Oh, and he just that shakes a little.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Gross. So how about the Itchy and Scratchy cartoons as well? What do we think of those?
The original Manhattan Madness was actually really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was period.
Yeah. And I love he played the piano along to it as well.
Still remember how it went and everything. It's always weirded me out, Millhouse's zeal for watching Itchy kill things.
Callum!
Yeah, there's always just been a little, but I love the follow-up joke of him being too slow to read the title card.
Yeah.
A chance for more mischief.
Watch out, Itchy! He's Irish! Oh, wonderful. And just while we're there, apparently the piano was being played by Jack Sheldon, who's a bebop pianist.
Oh, nice. Well, he did a fantastic job outside of his genre.
Yeah, absolutely. And were there any other Itchy? Oh, yeah.
There was the Steamboat Itchy that they showed a little bit of.
Yep, one of them with the opening, the 75-year-old, where Scratchy's a ghost and he freezes him and puts his ice balls, technically.
Eyes.
They become ice balls. So
Interesting.
into a drink. And then the last one, when everything's resolved, where he prays to Mouse God.
Yes.
I like the design of Mouse God. There's a god I can get behind.
Very vengeful.
It's the only time in The Simpsons that we see God's face, really.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's always
Yeah.
up to his chin and then nothing of the face of God. But Mouse God's different.
Mouse God is different, yeah.
Different canon, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So how about the heart of this episode? How did we like the emotional core?
The hero's journey is right there in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's got tons of heart.
Yeah. But it's also subverted brilliantly as well.
That very final ending is just, mwah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, because at this point, Marge even lists off all the Bart and Lisa detective stories
of
that they've
course
done.
they're going to figure it out, and then just to have it snatched away from them at the last second.
Yeah, and even doing it so perfectly tacky to set it up. I'm sure if we put our minds to it, Look
Look
at
at
this.
this.
Oh, there's the next page. I should have opened there.
And then Lester and Eliza.
Yeah, now,
Yeah.
look, if I had to be super nitpicky about this episode, Lester and Eliza are the only things that annoy me a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And that means decreases my enjoyment by 1%. It annoys me a little bit because they rarely, if anything, show up ever again.
Yes.
I mean, that's the glorious part of them, but
Maybe they're from Shelbyville.
Yeah.
that could be true, but I just need to know what happened to them.
I need to know how they helped Krusty find his estranged wife.
Or how they
And who
helped
it
Apu
was.
get out of jail for public indecency.
Maybe Krusty's estranged wife was Susan Anton.
Oh, yeah.
Or Eudora Welty.
Coming, Eudora. Like, just the solution as well, that we never hear Bart and Lisa's solution either.
But it's too perfect that we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because they were going to be like, oh, well, according to copyright statutes.
Yeah. So, yeah, Bart's journey as well is something that really stood out to me from this one. Just, yeah, trying to help someone get his due and then realizing the consequence that came from that. It's very,
Yeah, it feels like, again, it's hard to imagine the first time watching this, but you think the whole thing is going to be getting Chester his moment in court. Instead, that's the midpoint, and I
Yeah.
love that.
yeah, and that it comes with such a heavy price that, yeah, now the thing he loves is gone, like, and that the guy that he helped won't help bring it back either. Like, this is, yeah, some
It's,
really
it's, it's a
complex
fully
stuff.
developed story arc.
Yeah.
But just with that little bit extra that really goes somewhere you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And then concludes in a complete left hook.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. But ultimately, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Why 800 billion percent.
Yes, 800 billion%. Yep. Solid gold house percent.
Yes. Yeah, all the characters are so themselves.
I'd say you get a tiny, not off model, but it's a very different side of Lisa when Bart's first like, Lisa, if I ever stop loving violence, I want you to shoot me. Deal.
Yeah.
And then later on, she's like, so it's true. Some cartoons do encourage violence. Ow.
Punches him in the arm. Yeah.
We gotta save them, and soon. Punch.
Yeah, a little bit of violent Lisa happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not entirely out of character, just a little bit we don't see too often.
Yeah.
And I love Homer as well. The whole repeating bit of Bart asking him for cash.
The never-ending wallet of Homer in this episode. Do you have $1,000? Do you have $750? Can I have $183,000?
He just gets his wallet.
Okay, wait a minute.
And doesn't go for the card, goes for the cash.
Yeah, it goes for the cash.
Yeah. Fucking wonderful. But yes or no, would you watch it again?
Oh, 100 billion%.
Would you like to watch it again now?
Yes.
Yes, let's start that right now.
So we're going to watch it again. We're going to put it in a playlist. What playlist does this go in?
Gold. The gold playlist. Absolutely.
Poorly planned parades.
Yep. Parade playlist. There's
Yeah.
been a few of those.
There's been a few, yeah. There's been some floats around. Put it in with like the Brad Goodman episode where
Yeah.
the Do What You Feel festival and the parade there.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it. Yeah. Itchy and Scratchy, and also Roger Myers.
Yep. Roger Myers. Yep.
Yeah, who's played by Alex Rocco, who I didn't know. He's passed away. So, yeah. R.I.P. And as Phil Hartman and the other guest star for this episode.
Yeah.
So, fucking also classic Lionel Hutz.
Yep.
We have conjecture and hearsay. Those are kinds of
Come on,
evidence.
it's got to be his immortal line of, oh, this thing is all screwed up.
Oh, yes.
No, money down.
So you don't work on contingency.
Just while we're on people we've lost, who was the actor that played Sherry Terry and Martin?
Oh, yeah, Russie Taylor.
Yeah.
Lost her.
Yeah, we got that sad news over the weekend. Yeah, the voice actor of Sherry Terry, Uda, and Martin. Yeah.
That's sad.
Well, I mean, for Sherry and Terry, it's not such a bad thing, but Martin's a fairly solid support player.
Yeah, we get like a sort of Martin-focused episode every 2 to 3 seasons, and yeah, it's sad that we're going to lose that, but it's also sad that The Simpsons is still going, but, you know.
Yeah, but let's just hope they don't try to get a new voice actor in.
Well, no, they didn't do that with Lionel Hutz.
They
so-
generally
No.
don't, but occasionally, like Lunch Lady Doris, they did. And they've done some interesting things with Marsha Wallace, who played in a Krabappel, where they've gotten archive audio clips and put them in. So it is still her, to be fair, but it's just a little weird to hear that voice actor.
Especially after Ned's wife's died, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they keep doing jokes of like Ned is married to Maude and Edna ghosts now.
Yeah, which just feels
It's
very
kinda
weird.
weird.
Yeah. BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
Let's see here.
You have a list?
I'm just checking my notes. I'm looking for like maybe even a half-assed joke, but I don't even have that. Nope, it's great.
Craig, is there anything you'd like to change?
I want to know what happened with Eliza. And
They died on the way back to the home planet.
that's okay. That's whatever. Said them again. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm again super nitpicky. I would reduce the amendment to be sketch in the middle.
Yeah.
I'd reduce the length of that a bit.
To be fair, my understanding this is a big cultural reference in America. They had Schoolyard Rock, I think it is.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock, yeah.
Yep.
So neither of you have ever seen any of those?
I know of them mostly from things like this.
Yeah.
But I mean, this time around, I really kind of listened to the kind of politics they were pouring in. There's like, got some flag burners who have too much freedom.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's limits to our liberty. And it's like, yeah, that's interesting.
That's a little poignant right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all you changed, sorry?
They're the only things I can think of changing. The rest of it is so on point. It's nigh on a perfect episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super unqualified to rewrite this one. You know, newer Simpsons make me feel very full of myself in that I could rewrite them and make them better. Not this one.
No.
This one makes me feel like a stupid dummy. Well done, Swartzy. So, guest stars. I know I had written down at least one more. Oh, yeah, Susan Summers played herself, but the guy Dave wasn't him.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who talked like that.
What?
They're on the parade at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Isn't this the
Mouse
greatest
name.
day you've ever had?
Yes.
Yes. Mouse named Bitchy with a then Scratchy. Yeah.
A bit reminded me of, I don't know if you saw The Cure were doing like a red carpet or something recently, and it's like, oh my God, are you excited as I am for this event? And Robert Smith just goes, apparently not, no.
Good answer. As excited as you know, you're really excited. Thought it was going to be, I'm Robert Smith, I'm not excited about anything.
Yeah.
Well, at least it wasn't Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
No. Oh, God, Ricky Gervais doing The Cure.
All right, but if you say goodnight on a night like this, right? That's why this is...
We love cats. We're not actually cats.
Yeah, no, we're just not cats, but cats.
Yeah. Like jazz sense, you know.
Now a bit of riff and a guitar instead of doo-doo, which I think is a bit silly to be singing that. Yeah.
All right, Craig, do you have any other notes?
Yes. Why in an animation studio are there smokestacks? It's one of the most adorable things I've always seen about the Itchy and Scratchy Studios is that they've always producing tons of smoke out of their smokestacks, and when the studio gets switched off, no smoke. It's wonderful.
There's a great joke in a lesser episode we did recently where we find out that Grandpa used to work in a smokestack factory.
Yeah.
There's a great little thing where the smokestacks just produce more smokestacks.
And the greeting card factory as well. Yeah, there's got to be a big smokestack playlist.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you, BT? Any other notes?
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Fritz the Cat with Itchy and Scratchy. Which is a great little reference to that. And just always, if I ever get any kind of damage to my clothes, I just like, oh man, my threads.
Have you seen it? Either of you?
Fritz the Cat, yes.
Yeah.
Bits, but
And the styling, the shading, it's all right there.
Yeah. Oh, this looked amazing. And when Itchy's pulling on that cigarette, beautiful animation there.
There's a nice background reference to Itchy and Scratchy and Friends. When they had to come up with some friends, there's Uncle Ant, Ku Klux Klan, Disgruntled Goat. Yeah, they're just in the background of the comic book store when Bart's walking through.
Rich Uncle Skeleton.
Yeah, I love the extra characters. No, my dad made them all up. Well, except for Flatulent Fox. That was based on a true story. Where's that story?
And Comic Book Guy's whole rip on Bart was like $750. Ooh, it's expensive, is it? Ooh, your powers of deductive reasoning are amazing. Go now. Well, there are so many crimes to be solved.
See, that level of Comic Book Guy sarcasm is what I expect from Comic Book Guy.
Just hyper saturated and just.
Although I noticed in this episode the Comic Book Guy actually looks younger.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought his hairline was a bit more
further forward,
yeah.
and the face looks a little smoother. He actually looks younger.
That's cool. The idea they're putting tiny little age details in people, that'd be amazing.
And
I wasn't done.
Oh, you're not done. I'm sorry.
No, I haven't mentioned Homer's colander helmet when there's a strange smell coming from the basement. He's got a fire poker and a colander on his head.
Yeah, there's a strange smell and a lot of cursing coming from the basement, and Dad's upstairs.
Yes, but that is my last note.
I wonder if the colander helmet protects you against radon.
Yeah.
And my final note is, how about ghost mutt.
Oh, Marge.
It's not a bad idea.
Where's the idea's going to come from? Her? Obviously not.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just need a couple of seconds to do my last notes. So, BT, the question.
Right, so another question we like to ask our first-time guests is, if you had the opportunity to have a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich? If that's too difficult, because, hey, we just dropped it on you, what's the best sandwich?
Oh, well, you see, I think I would have a Reuben first off.
Very
you get a
popular
because I love me a good Reuben, but it's okay. It's got to be a good toasted rye. But on that Reuben, I would also then have a whole lot of cracked black pepper because I like a lot of cracked pepper. So that's Reuben with pepper. You can't ask them for a Reuben with pepper. They don't like you. They look at you askance.
Yeah, what have you done to my Reuben?
You can't do that. No. So that's why I want Reuben with the beef, with the pastrami, and then for those people who really want to get the shudders, I would probably put a ring of pineapple on the top.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Interesting mix.
Because
Yeah, something that cut through all that meatiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it.
That's what you need. Not just the mustard. You want something a bit sweet there just to tang it up a bit. Yep. That's my sandwich.
I
Excellent.
like it. Sounds good. I want
Because,
one.
yeah, on our sandwich board, we've, done this for all our guests, and, like, about a quarter of them are variations on a Reuben. Yours is really standing out. I like that.
The pineapple is interesting. I think it would really work out.
You should try it.
Yeah.
You should try it. It's really nice.
Really cut through.
Awesome. All right, time for my final notes. I love the save our seats, Dad. Hello.
Will do. And I like this like a nice couple as well.
Yeah.
Like it's not just some weird home, but they're up at 4 a.m. or whatever it is. But this hello.
But yeah, perfectly pleasant. I invented cartoon violence before me. All the cartoon characters used to do is just play the ukulele.
Yeah.
Why do I have the note piano kill?
Dropped a piano on my head and I was holding a small umbrella.
Yeah, that was an
Imagine
anvil.
that.
Yeah, anvil.
Anvil and head, maybe. No, piano kill. Piano kill.
Who
Yeah.
dies by a piano?
Not sure, but it did remind me. I forgot to mention before in the first episode all the delivery people.
I was gonna
Milkman,
say.
mailman, piano lady. And I liked when Chester was in the basement. He asked for spare change, and Homer's just like, just throw. Man, Homer's got a lot of disposable income in this episode.
True.
Oh, he also decides that he's going to spend his earnings on eating liver and onions. Don't see that one being on the sandwich board.
No.
I didn't give it time.
No, just no.
Yeah. Ugh. And my final note is the surprise witnesses.
And Ralph is
The
in there.
two overweight twins on the little motorcycles. They're brilliant. But Ralph's lovely.
That was surprising.
Oh yeah, didn't expect that.
And I'm pretty sure they drew John Swartzwelder in there as well.
Yeah, they like to throw him in as a quick reference.
Yep. All right, it's time to rank this thing. And Craig, your turn to go first.
It is the double zirconia. It's right up there with spotlights.
Nice.
Wow, yeah. I can't fault this episode. Like, I agree the Amendment 2B probably drags on a little bit too long, but also, fuck, it's so rapid fire that maybe we did need a little bit of a break up to that point. So,
Yeah, fair.
yeah, this was a favourite of mine then, now, and forever, BT.
Yeah, it's cubic zirconia. I wasn't 100% sure. And then once Chester Lampwick gets in and he has these great classic lines, there's so many great quotable moments in this one, and it's just so much fun. It's so fluid and so well paced and so well plotted. Had a great time, loved it. Cubic zirconia.
All the characters are on point. Their pacing is on point. As a matter of fact, it probably sets a standard for later next couple of seasons for what they all have to measure up to.
Yeah, oh, definitely. All right, well, averaging out, don't need to average. It's unanimous. It's cubic zirconia.
Yes.
This will be the 7th episode from Season 7 to get the unanimous cubic zirconia ranking. It'll be joining Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 2, Bart Sells His Soul. Oh, my God. Wonderful episode. Bart the Fink. That's the tax avoision.
Avoision.
Yep. Homer the Smithers, when Homer's the Smithers.
Yep.
22 short films about Springfield, because of course that was going to be an essential episode. And one that we mentioned earlier, Raging Abe Simpson and his grandson.
The Flying Hellfish.
I've just shortened it down to the Curse of the Flying Hellfish. It's a ridiculously
Such a good
long
episode.
title.
It is.
Yeah. In amongst great company. Fuck, Season 7 is amazing. I think it's our second best season at the moment. And this episode is just reason why. All right, I'm rambling enough. So that probably means it's time for the Simpsons Index to finish. But before we get out of here, we just like to briefly talk about some things that we're into lately. Books, TV, music, movies, fashion.
Wink.
Yeah. What are you into, BT?
I've not really cracked anything new recently. A comic series I really like, The Wicked and the Divine, is coming to a close soon, but I've recommended that before. Don't know anything else. You know what? We talk a lot about Reubens on this show, but you really need to go out and try and find a good Reuben. It varies a little bit, but go out there, give it a shot.
Yeah,
Reubens.
you should. Reubens is the best thing to do.
It's not the Reubens. They are not a good band.
No. That's
just the sandwich.
Yeah, it's just as bad as the Rubettes.
Yeah, actually, Reuben Republic in Marrickville is fucking amazing.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
How about you, Craig? What are you into?
I've just currently rediscovered the George R.R. Martin curated Wildcard series, which I read originally in the 80s, and I actually found them in a box of books I hadn't unpacked, and I started reading them again. So I'm just hell for leather right in the middle of that right now. Loving Chernobyl series. I can't recommend that enough. It is so good. And ignoring popularist television all I can at the moment. Yeah, because it's all game show after game show, and I really don't give a rat's ass.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, free-to-air is fucked.
Well, that's very kind of you, I think. It's much worse than you may think.
It's true. It's been a long time since I watched anything free to air.
Yeah, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I've been into lately, well, peek behind the curtain. I only recorded an episode just the other day, so...
Don't ruin the magic.
But in that episode, I mentioned that Netflix recently announced that they've cancelled Tucker and Birdie, which... Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, man, it's such a fucking dumb, short-sighted decision. It is such a good show, and to cut it down after only one season is so dumb and cruel.
At least give it another season.
Yeah, so everybody do hashtags or whatever, save Tucker and Birdie. It's such a wonderful show. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. But also, I haven't mentioned that this year I've been getting really into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They are a band that have an absolutely stupid name, but my God, they are so much fun. They're sort of like almost a rock revival sort of band, but like each of their albums is so varied and different. They have like an album that's like jazz, and they've got a prog record about Balrogs and fucking altered beasts and all that sort of stuff. And their album that's going to be coming out later this year is like a thrash metal album. And I got to see them earlier in the year, and they're such a wonderful band. They have 2 drummers, and they are like in sync. It's an amazing thing to see. So yeah, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, if you haven't checked them out, I love them a lot. Oh, and also there's a YouTube channel called Middle 8 who do like music essays, and they've done a couple on King Gizzard as well, so Middle 8 as well. All right, cool. Well, that about does it for the Simpsons Index. Craig, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
It's been my pleasure. I've loved being here.
We'll have to get you back on again soon, and you know, you got off pretty light this time. I think it's time we show you some awful episodes next time.
Oh, bring it. Just bring it. I'll tear them down.
And BT, thank you as always.
I mean, it was pretty good being here.
Yeah?
I do it a lot.
He didn't have a Reuben.
Sandwich me up next time.
Okay.
All right, let's get the heck out of here. I've been your host, Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all mustard in the house.
Ghost mutt.
Ghost mustard.
Ghost mustard.
Ghost mustard.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at simpsonsindex on Twitter or Instagram. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode, so we'll catch you next week.